Golf and Ski Warehouse, featuring Northern New England's largest golf selection at everyday low prices, locally owned and operated since 1989. Owl's Nest Golf Club. Visit owlsnestgolf.com for information on great golf and stay packages. Golf USA. The brands, the selection, the know-how. Before you go to play, go to Golf USA. Located at 707 Milford Road in Merrimack. Amherst Country Club. Make your tee time today at amherstcountryclub.com.
Well, good morning to you, and welcome to the New England Golf Radio Show. J.J. Truman is out this week. I am Chris Arcan, filling in the big seat. This morning, it is it's frankly a lousy morning in New Hampshire. We are broadcasting live, by the way, 1250 in Manchester, 900 in Nashua, and online at WGAMthegame.com. We also have a iPhone app or a Droid app or whatever sort of smartphone you have, and you can download that for free if you would like to tune in that way. Very good morning to you. Like I said, kind of a rough one. If you were planning on hitting the links this afternoon, I'd maybe advise against that. Just find a nice seat on the couch and watch day 4 of the 93rd PGA Championship, which is going on in the Highlands course at the Atlanta Athletic Club. The course is about a par 70, 7,467 yards. And the first time the PGA Championship took place here, it was in 1981. Larry Nelson beat Fuzzy Zeller. Interesting little note there. The first cut has already happened, of course. Tiger missed the cut. Martin Keimer missed the cut. VJ Singh missed the cut. And John Daly in terms of notable names. Steve Stricker led after day 1 with a -7. Jerry Kelly was in second with a -5. And Scott Verplank was in fourth with a -3. All U.S. names on top of that leaderboard. And so far going into Sunday, it's just a bunch of no-names leading the scoring. No names to the general public. Of course, us golf aficionados are all very familiar with Jason Duffner, Brandon Steele, who are leading right now at -7. Keegan Bradley is in third at 6 under. Scott Verplank still hanging around at -5. Carl Schwartzel is -2. And it's been just U.S. domination so far. Stricker's in there, too, with at -4. D.A. Points, which is a name we haven't heard in quite a while, at -3. And David Toms at -2. And this is all going into Sunday. Duffner and Steele are going to be teeing off at about 2:40 p.m. Keegan Bradley at 2:30. Scott Verplank at 2:30. Steve Stricker will be at 2:20. And D.A. Points at 2:10. That's the top 6 right there. All U.S. names. Every single one of them. Anderson Hansen is also, he's tied for 6th. Adam Scott is right in there, too, at -2. The Australian, and John Senden, another Australian, at -2. We have Robert Carlson at -2. And Jim Furyk is on the list as well, -1. He's tied with Brendan DeJong. Lee Westwood and Luke Donald are both at -1, too. Luke Donald was pushing very hard to get up into the mix there, but was unable to do so. We'll talk about him a little bit later. We also have Mike Cullity, who's going to be on the show. We will have him tuning in with us right around 10:20. We will be talking to him then. Rory McIlroy was the favorite going into this, and he suffered a wrist injury. His goal now is the top 20. He was quoted, or overheard, I guess, saying that he wished it hurt more, his wrist hurt more, so that he could use it as a bigger excuse. He was stuck in some trees, swung over some tree roots on the third hole, which is, it's a risky proposition anyway. He could have probably just chipped out to the side. Instead, he wanted to try and punch it out over the roots. Got caught on him and banged his wrist up. He still, despite that, managed to squeeze out a par, despite the injury being fresh. The next day, he shot a 73, and then yesterday a 74. Made the cut, obviously, but is not really in contention anymore, and is now reportedly very frustrated with the way all of this is sort of taken place. And who can really blame him? Now, a lot of people are saying, well, maybe he just wasn't cut out for this anyway. The day he actually hurt his wrist, he shot better than the 2 days after when he was supposedly on the mend. I don't really buy that, because I think that, the adrenaline of the pain and the injury could be enough to get a guy through the rest of his round. The next day is when it really starts to set in that there's a problem with your wrist, that there's a strained muscle or a bruise or whatever it is. It's the day after, really, with any injury, when it really sinks in and throws your game off. The fact that it happened for both day 2 and 3 is unfortunate, but certainly not all that preposterous when you think about the nature of these sort of nagging golf injuries, especially on something as violent, I guess, as a dead stop when you're swinging over a tree root, which affected his wrist so much that he's clearly has to have it wrapped. Not nearly as bad a story as Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods shot 10 over and missed the cut for the first time in 14 appearances. 21-month winless drought is now in effect, and he is ranked 30th overall going into this. That'll surely drop now. On day 1, he shot a 77, 7+. That was his worst opening round score of his entire career in a major. And because of this performance, he may not make the U.S. PGA playoffs. He finished 37th in the Bridgestone, missed the cut here. What's going on with Tiger? Are all those people who said he's never going to win another major starting to look real smart? I think they are. I hate to say it. We all hate to say it because look at what's happening now. Tiger Woods is missing cuts. And who do we got there? We got Jason Duffner and Brendan Steele, two very good golfers, don't get me wrong. But between them, Keegan Bradley and Scott Verplank, we're not exactly talking about star power and ratings here. And that's not what golf's all about. And believe me, I'm very aware that there is a great divide between the traditionalists in golf who like to see new people win each time and the casual fan who wants to see their favorite golfer win all the time. That's really not how it goes. And we were all sort of spoiled by the heyday of Tiger Woods and the heydays of Jack and Arnold and all these guys who really went out and won a lot of tournaments on a very consistent basis over the course of their prime years. Tiger's prime years are clearly over. I don't think anyone's disputing that. It's the question of will he ever contend again? And it's getting more and more obvious, I'd say, that maybe he can't. These younger players are just soaring past him. He can't compete with them right now. And perhaps he won't be able to again. It's just the way things look. And I hate to say that, you hate to see it happen to such an icon, to such a legend, to someone who has changed the sport in such a very demonstrable way. But I mean, look at the results here. I mean, look at the numbers. You can't excuse this anymore. You can't 7 over in the first day. And he's not injured anymore unless he's really not leading on. But if he's playing healthy and that's the best he can do right now, and I know it's hot down there, but it's hot for everybody. And I know those last holes, Luke Donald, oh man, you want to talk about a guy who had a rough day. Luke Donald made a real run through 15, and then once that 16th, 17th, and 18th holes came up, he lost it big time. He bogeyed 16, and then he double bogeyed 18, and that 18th hole, man, it is giving people nightmares. Just absolute nightmares. It has got people freaking out. It's got, Tiger, forget it. No one is having much luck with that last hole. It is ruining people's lives, that 18th hole. And again, it's really hard to break this down because when you hear someone like Luke Donald talk about it afterwards, they complain about the hole and they say, well, the hole's this and the hole's that, and whatever. It's the same hole for everybody. Everybody's got to shoot it. Everybody's got to aim for that stick, no matter where it is. It's not special for you. They're not changing it just for Luke Donald or anybody else. I don't know. I just find it funny when they really get upset about the hole afterwards. Let's see some other notable names here on the board. Jim Furyk, I mentioned, tied for 13. I hadn't heard his name much lately. We also got Lee Westwood. He's tied with Luke Donald. They are both 1 under. Nick Watney, my favorite reporter's cousin, is also 1 under. Sergio Garcia is even. Phil Mickelson's even. None of these guys are really in sniffing distance here. No name that you may have heard of is close. Ian Poulter's 2 over. KJ Choi is 2 over. Bubba Watson is tied. These guys are all tied for 37th at 2 over. Charles Howell III, KT Kim, a couple other names here. And then once you get down past the cut, there's Ricky Fowler right on the Mendoza line there. Harrington at +9. Rory McIlroy at +10. Paul Casey +13. And these guys all made the cut. They got Angel Cabrera, who's way down. Martin Keimer, Anthony Kim. Justin Rose, 5 over. All these guys were after the first 2 rounds, and they, Dustin Johnson. Dustin Johnson, there's another name. I was really expecting him to really turn it around after the British Open. After the British Open, after he stayed in contention with his style of play and that style of course, after he really went out there and stuck it out and made it competitive at the very least, I was very surprised to see him fall off so bad. Dustin Johnson, I thought, was really going to use that momentum and go further, but he's fallen right off. That might have been it. Scott Stallings, who we'll be talking about soon, also missed the cut. He did have quite a magical run there when he won at the Greenbrier, and we talked about that last week. However, it wasn't meant to be in Atlanta for him, and Scott Stallings ended up, let's see, where did he finish? Man, there's a lot of familiar names on this cut list. Scott Stallings, there we go, +7. And Tiger is down at +10. Vijay Singh also at +10. Haven't heard his name nearly at all. Graham McDowell is down there at +12. John Daly at +13. Lots of guys just not making this cut, and that's the way it is. For Tiger, the next scheduled event is a charity tournament for one of his teammates at Stanford. If he misses the playoffs, then the next scheduled tournament is the Australian Open in November for Tiger. And you start to wonder at this point, is Tiger's celebrity really even driving the TV ratings that much? I mean, this is the first missed cut for Tiger at one of the 4 majors since the 2009 British Open, and the only other time he failed to qualify for weekend play was at the 2006 U.S. Open. It was 1996 Masters that he missed the cut as an amateur. So the PGA Championship was the second tournament since returning from his injuries, and after tying for 37th at the Bridgestone, how much is his absence really going to be worth now? Would it hurt TV ratings that much for the 4 playoff events? I don't know. He said he won't play in next week's tournament in Greensboro because he has family commitments. And he said that according to the Nielsen ratings, his TV ratings for tournaments that he participates in can rise as much as 50% when he's in contention. But the problem is he's not really in contention that much anymore. So if he's still playing, but missing cuts or never really being in the hunt, are you really missing Tiger Woods' celebrity that much? Is that really something that's really hurting the PGA? It's interesting to think about now because he's really not. He's losing more and more relevance every day, and you always come back to, well, if Tiger can just get back his old swagger, his old mojo, that'll save golf. I don't know if that'll save golf. I don't know if that's even possible. Saving golf is possible. I don't know if Tiger getting his swagger back is possible. You don't really get it back that often when you reach a certain age. And Tiger's just not there anymore. But who is there is the question. That's why the door is still open. That's why people are still not quite ready to slam the door on Tiger Woods' legacy yet. Because no one else has stepped up. It's a lot of different people. It's Justin Duffner. It's Brendan Steele. It's Keegan Bradley. It's Scott Verplank. Are any of these guys going to be the next Tiger? No, probably not. But they're winning right now. Or one of them will win, then disappear for 2 months, and then another one will take over. Rory McIlroy sort of seemed like he was about to maybe take over the crown, or at least step into a portion of Tiger's giant shadow and take over that. Not really looking so much like that now. So who else is there? Luke Donald is the number 1 player in the world right now. Not really a household name. Certainly not for casual golf fans. Martin Keimer, he was ranked number 1. He's missing cuts now too. It's bizarre, really, to think about. I mean, I know this is golf, and this is a game that's a very hot and cold game. You go from doing very well to very poorly in a matter of 5 seconds. But these are all professionals, and not one of them is even making it on a week-to-week basis. Is not making it. Is not keeping their name on the top 3 and the top 5. And sure, there are some here and there, but not enough to really capture people's attention. And I know this isn't all about capturing people's attention, but in the wake of Tiger Woods and what he was able to do for all those years, it's going to really hurt the sport if no one can come close to that. And so far, no one has. We're going to take a break here on WGAM. When we come back, Mike Cullity will be here to talk about the PGA Championship as well as some other topics. We will talk to him right after this. You're listening to WGAM The Game. It's the New England Golf Show.